Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Nityananda Ram
Jai, Jai,
Shri Vrindavan Dham
Jai,
Shri Prabhupada
Jai,
Ananta Bhakti Vaishnava
Jai,
Gaura Premanande
Haribo,
Nitai Gaura
Haribo,
Nitai Gaura Premanande
Haribo,
it possible to get my phone from her?
Sure.
So I wanted to read something on the phone. So, thank you all for coming. Is there a need for translation if we're speaking into Espanol? Necesitamos
Yes,
traducir.
there is.
Sí, necesitamos. Okay. If you sit with them.
Who will translate?
Oh, I thought you were saying you would translate.
Oh, yes, 3 minutes.
Oh,
He will translate.
okay. Yeah, so the occasion of our gathering is, on the one side, of course, the appearance of Nityananda Prabhu, and we heard a wonderful account this morning. I thought it was a nice point that Dinabandhu Prabhu made, that in a sense the actual appearance of Nityananda Prabhu was in Navadvip, or in Mayapur, when he meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, of course, you could say there's two appearances. So that's one important reason for gathering and celebrating. And for me personally, and maybe for some of you also, it's a bit of a memorial in honor of Gunagrahi Goswami, His Holiness Gunagrahi Maharaj, who was staying in this building and here in the house for so many months, or was it more than a year? More than a year he was here.
Almost 2 years.
Almost, okay. And actually this is the last place that I saw him. And I think many of us felt very close to Gunagrahi Maharaj. And because of his special dedication to Kirtan, I thought also the two points are combined because Nityananda Prabhu is also very much about Harinam Kirtan. And so, yeah, it's a double purpose, if you like. Aside from the general purpose of devotees getting together and Shravanam Kirtanam, right? And this is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and we have international representation, I believe. So many places, even in this small room. I believe that His Holiness Damodar Swami Maharaj is also going to come by. I don't know if it's definite or if he said he would come. So he may appear at some point. And we also have our Godmother Satyaraj Prabhu, who I'm meeting for the first time. Where is your home?
In England.
In England?
London.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not giving so much to the manners, so I don't know so many of the devotees there. Yes, and we have Parabhakti Prabhu here with us, all the way from Firenze. Yeah. And just showing up, you arrived today, Group Sanatan. you've been here. Yeah. Yeah. All the way from Radhadesh. Right. Well, I wanted to share one particular pastime of Nityananda Prabhu from Chaitanya Bhagavata. Nityananda Prabhu spoke this morning about the life of Nityananda Prabhu up to and including the wonderful meeting, the first meeting, we can say so-called first meeting, because if Nityananda Prabhu is none other than Balaram, and if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna, then of course they've already met. And they're meeting again. But we could say they're meeting after a long time, and so it's a very intense meeting. It's a very important, very significant meeting. It's said that to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one needs the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. To understand Nityananda Prabhu, one needs the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So my skeptical mind asks the question, so where do we start? It sounds like a vicious circle. In order to get one's mercy, I have to get the other. In order to get the other, I mean, where do we start? Well, there's a simple enough answer. We get the mercy of Guru, our own Guru, who represents Nityananda Prabhu, who is a form, a manifestation of Nityananda Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada, who has brought the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu to all of us, he sometimes would explain this one song about Nityananda Prabhu from Lochandas Thakur, I believe. It starts out, Nitai Gunamani Amar Nitai Gunamani. Hare Krishna. And that's the only line I remember. But in this song, it's describing how Nityananda Prabhu spreads the Sankirtan movement. And it's an interesting analogy that's being made. In the song, it's being said that Nityananda Prabhu cuts a canal to every door. And what does this remind us of? It may remind us of a pastime of Balaram that took place here in Vrindavan. When Balaram took a fancy to having pastimes with Yamuna, and so he called upon Yamuna, but Yamuna could detect, without much difficulty probably, that Balaram was not in his normal state of mind. He was, dare we say, intoxicated. Of course, we could say Balaram is always intoxicated with Krishna prema. As the Adi Guru, that is his rightful position, to be intoxicated in that way. But this particular time he was apparently quite especially intoxicated, having taken a certain intoxicating drink. And the intoxicating drink is known as Varuni, and it's Varuni beverage, the Prophet calls it a beverage, comes from a certain tree. And so in that state, in that condition, with his red eyes rolling And what did Balaram do in response to her refusal? He took his plow. And with his plow, what did he do? He did something somewhat violent, I would say. He cut a canal. He dragged Yamuna to where he was. And so that dragging Yamuna we can think of as also as cutting a canal. Sometimes you see the farmers. I was a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago in Mayapur. I was watching some farmers as they were preparing their fields for planting rice, and they really know what they're doing. They know how to make it very smooth, the field, through a few times plowing and so on. And then they know how to control the water flow from one field to another. They have a device, they kind of shovel water from one field to another with a sort of tripod device, a very simple thing they set up. So this is not making canals exactly, but it's related. It's drawing water. And what is water? Water is nourishment for the rice plants. And similarly, Nityananda Prabhu is cutting a canal of mercy. He's arranging for the flow of mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to each and every door. So he's making a lot of canals. And how is he making the canal? He's going door to door, together with Haridas Thakur, on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Proti Gore Gore Diya, Koro E Bikka, Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Sika. He's going door to door, and he's begging for alms, Bikka, Bhiksha. And what is the Bhiksha he's asking for? 3 things. Both. Nityananda Prabhu says, Bolo Krishna. Bolo Krishna. Yes, Bolo Krishna. And gets them chanting Hare Krishna. And then, so, what next? Bhaja Krishna. If you're going to Bolo Krishna, you should also be Bhaja. You should also be worshipping Krishna. And not just worshipping Krishna in some superficial way, but Koro Krishna Shikha, Shiksha. Follow the instructions of Krishna. And what are the instructions of Krishna? Well, you can go back to the beginning. Bolo Krishna. Bhaja Krishna. Manmana Bhavaman Bhakto Madhyaji Manmanastu. Do everything. Dedicate everything to me. Focus your mind. Give your attention to Manmana. Bhavaman Bhakta, and be my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. And offer obeisance. And yat karoshi yadashnashi, whatever you do, whatever you eat. Yat chuhoshi, whatever you offer. Dadasi, whatever you're giving in charity. Yat tapasyasya, whatever austerity you're doing. Tat kurusha, do that. Mat arpanam, for me, do it as an offering for me. Simple instruction. And of course, Lord Chaitanya came to give that instruction, but to do it in the mood of the one who does it. In other words, instead of, as Krishna does, giving the order, think of me, etc., 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 he's coming as Lord Chaitanya, who is thinking of Krishna. who is offering everything to Krishna, who is absorbed in service to Krishna. And so as a devotee of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya is demonstrating. He's not just talking about it, he's doing it. He's teaching by his example. So Nityananda Prabhu is coming to Vrindavan, and we heard this morning, after he's been traveling all over India. He's gone to western India. Apparently he went to Pandharpur. And in Pandharpur he meets Madhavendra Puri. And apparently he also meets Lakshmipati Tirtha. And Lakshmipati Tirtha is an associate of Madhavendra Puri. They are, well, it's a little mysterious. Are they godbrothers? And if they're godbrothers, the Madhvas will say, well, Lakshmipati Tirtha, yes, that's Manva. Madhavendra Puri? No, we don't have any Puris in our line, sorry. But what's very probable is that Madhavendra Puri, wherever his line may have been, he became friends with Lakshmipati and maybe with others of the Madhva Sampradaya. In any case, they were very close. And I was reading that Narahari Chakravarti Thakur tells a nice story toward the end of his Bhakti Ratnakara, how Lakshmipati Tirtha in Pandharpur was feeling great separation and great longing for the mercy of Balaram. Hare Krishna. And in that mood of feeling his own inadequacy, he went to sleep at night, and in the night, Lord Balaram appeared to him. And he describes in great detail how beautiful he was, how overwhelming it was Balaram himself. And Balaram spoke to him, and Balaram said to Lakshmipati Tirtha, tomorrow there's going to come one sadhu, and you should initiate him. And here is the mantra with which you should initiate him. So Balaram is, in effect, initiating Lakshmipati Tirtha, who's already Lakshmipati Tirtha, but okay. He's initiating him into a mantra which he should then initiate Nityananda Prabhu in. And sure enough, the next day he wakes up. He's overwhelmed with feelings of what has just happened. Balaram has appeared to him, and sure enough, Nityananda Prabhu appears, this sadhu. And Nityananda, who has been traveling for 20 years with this unknown older sadhu, and one theory is that he was traveling with Lakshmipati, but no one really seems to have a definitive conclusion about some of these points. But according to Narahari Chakravarti Thakur, Lakshmipati Tirtha then initiates Nityananda Prabhu with that mantra which he received from Nityananda Prabhu, essentially, in the form of Balaram. Or Balaram, as Balaram appeared as Nityananda to receive the mantra which he had just given. Okay? Figure that out. After all of that, then Nityananda Prabhu came to Vrindavan, and he spent some time here. Sometimes in a very playful mood, apparently, but other times in a very somber mood, and we can say sad mood, because he was not finding the one he was looking for. He was looking for Krishna, and Krishna was not here. And in that feeling of separation, and with the understanding that came to him that why is Krishna not here? Because he's in Navadvip. He finally said, okay, now is the time to go back to Navadvip. Because Nityananda Prabhu, in terms of mundane age, he was 12 years older. Wasn't that 12 years? Older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so he delayed going to Navadvip to wait until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears, because what would Nityananda Prabhu do in Navadvip without Lord Chaitanya? And so he traveled. Then he comes to Navadvip, and that's when the wonderful meeting takes place that we've heard about. But I want to jump forward some to this incident of the Dandabanga. Because it's an interesting demonstration of Nityananda Prabhu's resolve to help the world understand who is Chaitanya. I would put it like that. So I'll read some of this. So I'm sure you know what the circumstance is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken formal sannyas, and why has he taken sannyas? Because he has seen that, as it said, the preacher is never appreciated in his home village, and he resolves to take the order of sannyas in order to spread the glories of Krishna, not just in a few villages around Navadvip, which is what he had been doing, apparently for a period of about 1 year after he came back from Gaya as a transformed person. He was, before he went to Gaya, after Gaya, different, practically profound transformation. About a year, they're having Kirtan in Srivas Thakur's house. And eventually then, Srivas Thakur's house can no longer contain, you could say, the ecstasy that's exploding out of his house. And more people are, hanging out around outside Srivas Thakur's house, wishing they could get inside. And the word is spreading around Navadvip that, this is really an exciting thing going on. Why can't we take part? And so finally Lord Chaitanya brings it out. And when he brings it out, there's resistance. There's welcoming on one side, and there's resistance on the other from the caste Brahmins. And of course this is resolved with the meeting that takes place with the Kazi, of the area. I think the Kazi was something like what in England, they used to call the sheriff. A sheriff. Which actually, come to think of it, that's an Arabic word. Sharif, I think. Right? Anyway, in America also then there were town sheriff, and I think they came from England. I don't know how England got it, maybe from India. But we would watch the westerns on television. The sheriff was always the hero saving the day. So the Qazi was a kind of sheriff who, he was just trying to do his job, I think it has to be said. He wanted to keep the peace, and there was a disturbance in town. So, and the people who were making this disturbance were not listening to him, so he decided he has to do something a little more strongly, and so there's some breaking of Mridungas, some warnings, and so on. And then, as we know, Krishnadas Kaviraj tells us there was then an interesting encounter that took place between the Qazi and a certain form of the Lord who has very long nails. And this took place at night. And this form of the Lord with the long nails decided to make some designs on the Qazi's skin, also as a warning. So there was one warning from the Qazi, and then there was another warning from higher up. And the warning was, don't give trouble. Don't give trouble to my devotees. Otherwise. So then Lord Chaitanya meets with him the next day. They have a nice interfaith dialogue. And the issue is resolved to the extent, at least, that the Qazi said, okay, I'm not going to interfere. Not only am I not going to interfere, but all my coming generations, descendants, I would say, they're also not going to interfere. So that was resolved, but then Lord Chaitanya didn't really feel that the deeper problem was resolved. And that was the sort of provincial character of what he was doing. He felt it was necessary to take a drastic step, despite the fact that he was married, he had a very young wife. Vishnu Priya was, they say, 16 years old at the time. He had a widowed mother. These are not the conditions you usually think are the appropriate conditions under which to take sannyas. But despite those conditions, he resolved, I have to do this. For what? For the world. And so he takes sannyas. But what is his sannyas? He takes sannyas from the nearest available sannyasi, so to say, Keshava Bharati. And in Katwa, apparently there was some sort of an ashram there of Advaitavadi sannyasis and probably brahmacharis and monks. And so he went there and he received the Ekadanda. The name Bharati is one of 10 the Dasa Nami, the 10 names of the followers of Shankara. There's the Sarasvatis, the Tirthas, the Puris, the Bharatis, the Vanas, the Ashramas, and a couple more, 3 or 4 more. So he was a Bharati, and then you might think that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would also become something Bharati. But no, he became Krishna Chaitanya. Well, why? This was actually not a sannyas name. It was not a sannyas name. Because Lord Chaitanya was taking sannyas and simultaneously, like Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar also took sannyas later, but he kept his brahmachari name. Swarup Damodar is his brahmachari name. Swarup, I think is the title, Damodar Swarup. So something like that, but he had this ekadanda, and this was bothering Nityananda. This was bothering him. Here we go. So this is Chaitanya Bhagavata, Vrindavan Das Thakur. Thakurer danda Shri Jagadananda Bahe, danda Tui Nityananda Sharuper Gahe. Thakurer dande Monadiyo Savudane, Bikka Kori Amiha Ashiva E Kane. Shri Jagadananda generally carried the Lord's danda. He handed that danda to Nityananda Sharup and said, "Please take care of the Lord's danda. I will return in a few minutes after begging alms." Okay, so Jagadananda, he's another personality. There's an interesting relationship he has with Lord Chaitanya. But here he's carrying the danda because that was one of his services when they traveled. They're traveling to Puri after Lord Chaitanya's taken sannyas. So Nityananda, in the next verse it says, with an agitated heart, Nityananda grabbed the danda and sat down. Danda hatte kori hasse Nityananda rai, dande shahita kata kahena milai. Holding the danda in his hand, probably his right hand, Lord Nityananda laughed. As his pastime, he then spoke to the danda. O he danda, ami jare bahiye hridaye, she tomar bahibek eto jukta nahe. O danda, it is not proper that he whom I carry within my heart should carry you. You get it? It's not proper that he whom I carry in my heart should be carrying you. He's addressing the danda. Okay? Attabali balaram parama prachando heliden dandavangi karitina kanda. After speaking in this way, the most powerful Balaram broke the danda into 3 pieces. Notice it mentions Balaram, Parama Prachanda, the most powerful Balaram. So it's Nityananda who is Balaram, and Balaram is the source of all power. It is Balaram who manifests the powers which make the manifest world and which make also the spiritual world all facility for Krishna. And he is Bala, he is powerful. And so, in his great power, it is he only, it's explained, only he would be able to break Lord Chaitanya's danda. Now you might think, well, it was just a piece of bamboo, I could have probably broken it too. Yes? No. No. This was something that only Balaram Nityananda could do. And it says he broke it into 3 pieces. Now if you have 1 stick, that can be called an eka danda. And if you have 3 sticks, what can you call that? Tree danda. Yes. So the sannyas, the Vaishnava sannyas danda is tree danda. But this tree danda was 3 separate sticks now. And they would have been quite short, probably, because, from an ekadanda into 3 pieces, now you've got 3 short pieces. And so, is that going to make a tree danda in a proper... Is it going to make a proper tree danda? It's just going to make 3 little dandas, 3 little sticks. Here's an interesting detail in the purport, which I believe maybe from Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. I'd have to check. Without becoming a tridandi, no one can control himself. In the principle of tridanda found in Karmakanda, the Indra Danda, Vajra Danda, and Brahma Danda are combined with the Jiva Danda. And then it goes on to explain, Rupa Goswami explains that it's about representing the control of the body, the mind, and the speech. When Tridanda is combined with Jiva Danda, then, according to the external conception of Tridanda, Ekadanda becomes the principle of Paramahamsa Dharma. But, since in the principle of Ekadanda, the transcendental state beyond the 3 modes of nature attributes faults in the process described in the Pancharatras, Ekadanda in the form of Tridanda has been accepted in the process described in Pancharatras. Okay, that gets technical. Pancharatra is our system of archana. That's putting it simply, but that's basically where we get our whole... everything related to ritual within our tradition, you can say that's all Pancharatra. Well, there's a lot more explanation there. Ishvarer Ichamatra Ishara Shejane Kenovangilen Danda Janiva Kamone. Only the Supreme Lord knows the will of the Supreme Lord. How will I know why he broke the danda? This is now Vrindavan Das who's speaking, who's writing, and now he's saying, I'm just writing this, I don't know what's going on, I don't understand. Nityananda Gyata Gorachandra Antara Nitanandere Ojane Shri Gorasundar. Nityananda knows the mind of Gaurachandra, and Shri Gaurasundar knows the mind of Nityananda. Yuge Yuge Dui Bhai Shri Rama Lakshman Dohar Antara Dohe Jane Anukam. In every yuga they appear as 2 brothers, such as Shri Rama and Lakshman. They also know each other's mind. Akkavastu Dui Bhag Bhakti Bhujante Gaurachandra Janishove Nityananda Hoite. The one Lord has become 2 to teach devotional service. One can know Gaurachandra only through Nityananda. So this is Vrindavan Das is explaining something of the significance. First he says, I don't understand what's going on here. But then he's saying, Nityananda and Chaitanya are one and the same Lord, and they're the ones who know each other. And the fact that Nityananda is breaking the danda has to mean that Lord Chaitanya knows why he's doing it. There must be some accord there. Who other than Balaram is powerful enough to break Lord Chaitanya's danda? He asks rhetorically. Sri Gaurasundar taught everyone by this pretext. Anyone who understands this truth is easily delivered. Okay, so he gives this kind of bit of philosophy, and then he says, after breaking the danda, Nityananda sat there. Shortly thereafter, Jagadananda arrived. He returned. Remember, Jagadananda was giving him the danda. He said, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go do some begging, some adhikari. So now he's back. He was greatly astonished on seeing the broken danda, and he felt apprehensive at heart. He asked, who broke the danda? Nityananda replied, he who held it. The Lord broke his own danda. Who else is capable of breaking it? When the Brahmin heard this reply, he did not say anything. He quickly took the broken danda and left. He went to the place where Sri Gaurasundar was sitting and placed the broken danda before Lord Chaitanya. Prabhu bole, kaha danda angila kamone, patte kiva kandol korila karoshame. The Lord said, tell me how this danda was broken. Did you have a fight with someone on the way? Kahila Jagadananda Pandita Shakal Bangilan Danda Nityananda Shubhitbal. Jagadananda Pandit narrated the entire incident to the Lord and said, the overwhelmed Nityananda broke the danda. The Lord then asked Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya is now going to Nityananda, and he asks him, tell me, why? Why you broke my danda? Kilagi bangila danda kava dekishmi. Nityananda vole, bangiachi bam shakam, napar kamite korade shasti pramam. Nityananda replied, I broke only a piece of bamboo. If you cannot forgive me, then punish me appropriately. So he's saying, it's just a piece of bamboo. It's nothing significant about this. There's so much bamboo around, I broke a piece of bamboo, what's the problem? Prabhu bole, Jahe sarva deva adishtan shetumar mapteki hoyinda vamshaka. The Lord said, all the demigods reside in the danda, and you call it a piece of bamboo. Who can understand the pastimes of Sri Gaurasundar? He thinks one thing, and he says something else. Therefore, know for certain that anyone who says, I understand Krishna's mind, is a fool. He may show great affection to the person he intends to kill, yet he may neglect devotees whom he considers equal to or greater than his own life. Such pastimes are inconceivable and unfathomable. Only one who is favored by the Lord can understand them. Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. And of course, Lord Chaitanya, he goes on to say, this was my only companion, my danda, and you've broken it. He says, anyway, now I don't require anyone's company. Either you go ahead or I will go ahead. So he's expressing some unhappiness, some annoyance. I'm not going to, you go on your own, I'm going to stay by myself now. Just imagine that we could have been there eavesdropping eavesdropping on this event. Would we have grasped what was happening? Hare Krishna. Who wants to lead us in Kirtan? Is Gandharvika here? You're Gandharvika. That answers my question.